Alright, we're back with another episode of the Salt Mines where people lose their minds playing StarCraft and get salty because video games are serious business. Down here in the bottom right, we've got Declar, the Protoss player, up against Sigund, the Terran in the top left here on Babylon. Good luck, have fun, says Sigund, and Declar already responding with, why random? It's so cocky, like you're that good. You know what? Sending an early probe, though, is a good answer, but you've forgotten your pylon while typing in chat, Declar, and the pylon is going to be about 15 seconds late. Sigund says, well, no, I'm not really that good. I'm Gold League, actually. I don't think it's possible to think you're that good when you're playing at 40 APM in Gold League. Then why would you random? Oh, it's fun. I like playing all the different factions. It's fun. Sigund's implying there. You should not play random till Diamond. Well, that's an interesting assertion there from Declar. So Declar is like, how dare you play random? You friggin', you're not, are you Diamond? It doesn't make any sense then, does it? Now, I do often kind of laugh at people using a barcode in the lower ranks. I'm not sure it holds too much water otherwise. And Sigund himself says, well, I didn't actually see that in the terms of service. When I agreed to the terms of service to play on Battle.net, I didn't see I can't play random till Diamond. Why? Random is not real battles. Says the Protoss player who's not building probes right now, is sitting on 15 workers, finally queues up a single worker, chrono boosts, and doesn't queue a second worker, which means immediately gets supply blocked. Oh my fucking Jesus. Question mark from Sigund Declar's like, you heard me. Random players are just all-inners. You know what's funny, guys? Sigund's doing a very standard 1-Rax expand right now, and is actually doing it pretty well on time for a Gold League player as well, in that the Orbital got remembered, the Reaper's building on time. Command Center is not super early by any means, but for Gold League, it's pretty damn tight, especially with an early SCV scout like that. All right, you know I'm all-inning. Guess you better defend then, says Sigund. Sigund's coming off as rather innocent. I love that Sigund's literally like, well, if you know what I'm going to do, you could probably beat it, mate. Like, no worries. I feel like Sigund's answering with some old-timey dad energy. Just like real positive, real happy. Just kind of like, oh, well, you know, better get after it, son. And Declar's like, the world's unfair. Oh. Declar is like why? Why what? Sigund's like, I don't even understand what your generation is talking about. I feel like we're watching Declar be like, lit 420, 69, get wrecked. And Sigund's like, just a fucking older person who's like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but I hope we have a good battle in the StarCraft game. It should be fun. Oh, right. Also, aren't you the one doing a 4-gate? Weren't you complaining about me all-inning? Yeah, because you're cheap, says Declar. Now, I always love this. When a player has already lost the game mentally from the loading screen, they saw random. We've seen this so many times throughout the Salt Mines, and they're like, you played random, therefore you're cheap, and you're cheating, and you're all-inning, and therefore I have to all-in because you're cheap. Sigund's answering with that, have you played me before? Because, guys, this is the most standard build ever, and to be fair, this actually looks better than Gold League. Sigund's, like, just kind of hitting the basics of a build order really quite well. I mean, to be fair, the Reaper's sitting at home, so it's not like they're trying to interact, and let's be real, you always see people's ranks when they start interacting with the opponent. Sigund here, it's not like it's a crazy high APM, and if you are playing random, I imagine things are going to fall apart a bit the longer the build goes. Guys, Declar forgot Warp Gate for like a good minute there, so Warp Gate is not going to be finished till like 4.5 minutes in this game, which is the most important thing with a 4-gate. You should also have a proxy to warp in on the other side, you know, utilizing the most important Protoss mechanic. This is so dog shit. There are bad all-ins, guys, and then there's like, I don't know, man. Some people cough up a virile payload when they go and all-in their opponent. It's like you're getting acid spat in your face. This is going to look more like a little bit of a cough, a splutter of dog water splashing across the Terran natural. I can't imagine this is very scary at all. Yes, you can take out a Reaper Scout, well done, but I don't think you can get too much else done. No hotkeys for anything other than the Nexus, by the way, and 2 gas probes. One is on 2, one is on 4 as well from the early game. Terran, on the other hand, has the barracks on a key, the factory on a key, the command center's on a key. It's going for second and third barracks behind this, dropping mules. Pretty decent opening. Tanks and bunkers will be amazing to defend. Unfortunately, there's no reactor yet, so only 1 Marine building at a time. And wow, Declar chrono boosting Warp Gate, realizing, that should have been done 35 seconds ago, at least. This is taking a while to get going. But it's going to be a mass stalker all in. They're not even going to warp in on the front, because Declar is apparently brain damaged. I mean, I just love this. And to be fair, get in the comment section. I know there's already someone typing a comment. Well, it is unfair playing against random with Protoss. It's harder because your first pylon placement does matter a lot for a lot of Protoss builds. There's this crazy thing, though, where you can have a plan for playing versus random. And what you do is you play like it's a versus Zerg. You do a 1 gate expand. You scout either after the pylon or the gateway. And it's rock solid. People go, but if my gateway's on my natural and they do a tank all in, it's slightly annoying. And I'm like, yeah, you have 1 gateway exposed natural. It's not a problem. It's such an easy build order. Why? What? Oh, here we go. Declar's going for it. Sigun just needs to build units. What? Sigun just attacked their own bunker. Sigun's trying to repair, but attacks it with their own siege tanks and their own SCVs. All you needed to do was move your units. You didn't even need to repair the bunker, and you could have held that. Oh my god. Sigun getting thrown off by the Y. Daklar throws the Y as they go in for the attack. They answered the "Have you played me? Why?" Sigun's typing "Why what?" and then panics and shits the bed and kills their own bunker. The Stalkers are running back and forwards. Declar has not warped in since moving out across the map. This is one of the worst all-ins of all time. Literally runs across the map, no reinforce, no forward warp in, and is now dancing back and forwards in tank fire. It's like, you know the tank can shoot you this whole time, right? The SCVs are gonna block. Does that tank get focused down? The tank might get focused down, but there's a lot more Marines coming up. And this time, not attacking his own units, the gun cleans it up. Nothing has happened behind this at all for Declar. No warp, it's just built a Nexus. Still, at 6 minutes, has not saturated their main mineral line. It's at 13 out of 16 workers. That is beyond horrendous macro. So cheap. What's cheap? You 4-gating? Just trashy. It's okay. I don't even care. You can like hear the testy pop in the way Declar's typing it. And Sigun just wins a really standard TVP macro game by queuing as random. Oh my lord. All right, going into the next game from that one, we've got Terraventio in the top right side of altitude. In the bottom left, we've got Venus Lux. All right, guys, the TVT here. And man, that last game, the thing is, like, I do remember a time where I was like really upset over random. And it's so funny because the moment you start complaining about random, and Protoss players do this more than the other two, you get in your own head and you go, where do I build my first pylon? Where do I build my first pylon? Ah! And you freak out and you psych yourself out from the very start. Whereas if you just say, I'm just going to wall off on the high ground, or I'm just going to wall off the natural, and then you scout, and then you just have a plan for how you adapt a low ground gateway, which you'd normally do versus Zerg. And you might not do that versus Protoss or Terran. People are like, but I like to do 2-gate versus Protoss, and then I have a gateway on the low ground. I can't do 2-gate. Like, I've heard so many things like this. I've had this discussion. And like I said, I used to also get tilted by playing against random. And then I'd be like, you know, you can just build a 2nd gate on the low ground, right? And they're like, what? But then if I get all in, the gates are exposed. And I'm like, yeah, they're a little exposed, and there are certain all-ins that will have a slightly higher percentage chance of killing you. But also, it'll keep you safer in a bunch of scenarios as well, because you got a wall off on your natural, and you can build your first battery down there. So actually, it's like safer in some ways as well. And they're like, but it's not exactly the way I normally play. And I go, like, I know. And like, don't get me wrong. It sucks that your opponent gets to disrupt the way you play. But also, they do play all 3 races, and they are much worse at them. And like, there's one thing that stays true, because like, don't get me wrong. Most random players I play, I have the same reaction. I'm like, this guy's going to cheese. He's going to do a dirty all-in. But they're going to suck at it. And that is almost always true. Like, every time I play against a random player, man, and I'm like, they do crazy shit to disrupt me, but their follow-ups suck. Their macro sucks. And I'm like, it's just a different type of StarCraft, you know? I'm like, it's crazy. So the people who do play macro usually are just behind because they're not as good at executing. Case in point, me. I've been trying to learn over the last few months how to be a bit more abusive with my random rather than just using it to roll a race and then playing standard. And it's actually really hard to master exactly how to take advantage of that. There's a reason why we don't see pros rolling random in tournaments. It's because it's very hard to make up for that skill differential. But anyway, guys, it's TVT. Venus Lux is doing a 1-rax expand, incredibly greedy build for TVT. Don't get me wrong, this is like a solid way to play if you're at a lower level and you're just like doing a one-size-fits-all build order. But once you get to like platinum or diamond or above, you really want to have different builds for each matchup. Despite that, getting a kill almost, but no micro from Venus. If Venus started to step forward, they could have killed the Reaper. But either way, they shut it down, and it's 3-rax Reaper. If you're going 3-rax Reaper, this is an all-in build order. You should build the barracks outside your opponent's base to hit as hard as possible. There's also a Reaper that got left at home, so Terraventio is not really using the Select All Army key. For some reason, they have their Orbital Command Center on 7 different control groups, guys. Venus Lux is trying to get a Cyclone. Remember, this is old patch, of course, guys. We will be having, I'm sure, replays mixed in on the new patch from within a few weeks' time. But it takes a while to kind of find the best salty replays. I don't want to just go new patch games just because it's on the new patch. Come on. It's the flavor of the salt that matters more than anything. Okay, those Reapers are going to come in. The Cyclone is very good against it. Tank's even better, actually, than a Cyclone, because it's a little bit tankier. Oh, that Reaper, the Marine, pull back, pull back. Don't even try to fight this, mate. If he jumps in, you're dead. Terraventio should just be jumping in and going after the SCVs, but he's attacking a depot right now. What are you doing, mate? Mate, you know Reapers can jump up and down cliffs. This is not a good all-in for Terraventio right now. Terraventio, that's not even going to supply block Venus. And all Venus needs to do is A-move the SCVs, but losing the Marine and the Reaper by not pulling them back. Needed to pull back, wait for the Siege Tank, and then fight all together. But the SCVs are all dying now. The Siege Tank is going to siege up. Oh, that's a very ambitious play. Sieging the tank up. I mean, it'll get some good splash damage, but also those Reapers can get right on top of it where they don't take fire because they're within its minimum firing range, like right there. Now, they can just target the SCVs. There's no minerals, so you can't actually keep repairing that forever. One SCV group surrounds the Reaper on that middle bit, and it looks like this might actually be a kill move despite Terraventio taking such a long time to do it, just because Venus was a bit slow on the defense. No bunker in a TVT as well. And there was no scout, no bunker, 1-racks expand. I mean, there's greed, and then there's how Venus played this game. Looks like Terraventio just gets a nice all-in victory. Could have been a bit more decisive, but 3-racks Reaper, it's a mainstay. We see Beyond, Gumiho, Maru all pull this one out all the time. Kira as well, and there's a good reason. The level of bitch made you have to be. I love non-English speakers cursing in English. To cheese in a dead game, man, I truly pity you. Terraventio drops the smiley face and says, enjoy. You know they enjoyed it. Oh my lord. That bitch N-word gene is genetic. Did they just say that gene is genetic? Wow, you gotta be a proper moron to speak like that. You got raised by N-word. Not an N-word, N-word. Wow. Venus Lux bringing out the really high tier insults there. That is about as basic as it gets. Oh me, oh my. And we've got a second game. I imagine these are played back to back. Terraventio down in the bottom right side. Venus Lux in the bottom top left says, you better cheese, you N-word. Oh my lord. I already thought it was sad and basic, but to be fair, if you guys do enjoy, like me, mining a little bit of salt, let's be real. If the game, the win condition, was just filling your opponent's salt meter, making them emotional and angry and upset, the moment your opponent goes to the most hateful words they can, you know you've triggered them. You know they are so upset. You, N-word, F-word, N-word. Ugh. Good dog. Nothing better than an obedient bitch. Oh my god. Obedient bitch. Wait. Is the whole thing that you have a fetish for getting viciously mauled? Because that's what Terraventio just did to you, Venus. You just got fucking mauled, mate. You're like, yeah, you obedient bitch. Like, this is like a guy's on the... Terraventio's in full mount, fucking pounding his head across the pavement. And Venus Lux is like, yeah, you good obedient bitch. As their fucking heads getting caved in. Seriously, though, I pity you, kiddo. Oh my god, the kiddo. Whenever people bring out kiddo to try and be condescending, like you're beneath me, it's so sad. It's always such an indicator that they've already lost the argument. The moment you dip into your bag of insults to kiddo, you've lost. I would... self-harm myself if I was a coward. Obviously, guys, we have to censor some of these words for YouTube. Afraid of a dead game that hasn't been relevant in a decade. Okay, I like this. So Venus is like, the only reason you smashed my head into the concrete with that 3-racks Reaper is because you're afraid of losing in a dead game. Whereas if you were a real fucking savage, if you were a real warrior, you wouldn't be afraid. You'd just fight me straight up. You wouldn't be like a pussy who just tries to rush and cheese me. I like it. I'm getting into the Venus Lux mindset. Now, to be fair, Venus didn't expand last game and didn't scout. They also, after getting cheesed by the same player, have not scouted the second game. And if they ran an SCV in, guys, they would have seen multiple barracks in the wall off. Obvious the same thing's happening again. What is the response here? I'm going to build the command center on the high ground, which, to be fair, does make it quite a bit safer. On this map, there's nowhere to jump up except... I think maybe you can jump up over... No, I don't think you can jump over that hedge. So I think you can only jump up here. So if you just build a bunker here, you're completely safe. Venus. We're going to build that bunker, buddy. No, we're going for Tech Lab again. Try to get out early siege tanks again. No bunker. Well, you know, 3-racks me once, shame on me. 3-racks me twice, shame on me again, I would say. The Reapers are going to jump in. The scan does see those units. Terraventio going up there is going to fight and pulls back the weak Reaper. Oh, very bad micro from Terraventio, guys. Not focus firing the Reaper. I think it barely moved out of the scan range there. and just kind of throws a Reaper away for not a great reason, unfortunately. So we criticized in the last game the execution. Now, obviously, Venus just builds Marauders and Hellions. They'll be safe as well. Still not building a bunker for God knows why. I mean, they are going to start Hellions. They got a Marauder on the way. You shouldn't be capable of dying here. You know this is coming. Even going to send the Reaper across the map, which is so greedy. Wait. Oh, no, he's A-moved down here. But because there's no jumping up path, just throwing the Reaper away for no reason. Okay, he does realize and brings it back. Terraventio, like I said in that last game, is not really executing this Reaper attack very well at all. Like, attacking into the wall and throws another Reaper away. So 2 Reapers for 1 Marine. I mean, it's negative damage so far. And he's going to start transitioning into a 1-base stim all-in. You're kidding me. Well, this is a massive advantage for Venus Lux, even though they took some chances there on the opening. Way ahead, and they should be able to win from here. But I say should, and looking at Venus's mindset, I think it's more of a shoulda, woulda, coulda, you know? Definitely chances to throw this game away, especially if you have a very frail mental state. One of the things we've seen throughout in StarCraft is the moment you underestimate your opponent, you think the game's over before it is, it's very easy to screw up because StarCraft is a skill-based game where if you stop executing skillfully and your opponent keeps executing skillfully, especially if they're doing something sneaky or gambly to get back in the game, they can bring it back very quickly. This is the last thing any cocky player ever thinks of, because for them, StarCraft is purely an egotistical pursuit of, I'm better than you, you little fucking bitch. That's right, you obedient little bitch. You know, it's really that attitude of, there's no joy in playing the game well for them. It's all about putting their opponent down and putting themselves above their opponent. Now, Terraventio, on the other hand, don't get me wrong, is clearly a bit of a low-effort cheeser. It's just, I'm in a 3-Rex Reaper, make some Marines and tanks and see what happens. I don't know what this Reaper is doing. What are we doing, Terraventio? And it's going to be pure Marine tank, which means running up this ledge is going to be a nightmare. But there's still no bunker. The Reapers could jump in the main and cause some issue. Actually, no, there's 2 Marauders and a Hellion there. That won't work out either. Oh man, Terraventio is having a terrible start to this game. I think Venus is going to get a bit of revenge this one. I think Venus is going to get a bit of revenge. I mean, for this game to win, I mean, Terraventio is down 14 workers. Gets 1 SCV for 3 Reapers. I mean, this is a disaster of an early game. All you really need to do is just keep making units as Venus, and especially if you make a few more production structures, you can't lose. Now, that being said, Venus is going to go for a 3rd command, and it still has not scouted their opponent at all. Guys, have you ever heard scouting is important in StarCraft? And there's people out there, and they say this to me, but I don't know what to scout for. And I go, just get map control. Put a few Marines around the map. Check how many bases they have. If you have a Marine out here, here, or here, you'd be like, oh, my opponent's on 1 base. Maybe I don't need to go to 3 bases right now. That might actually be unnecessary because I'm already at a massive astronomical economy advantage. All I need to do is build army to make sure I don't die. Terraventio is also going 1-base battlecruiser behind this, so Terraventio is literally the worst macro player of all time. And he's going to set up an ambush out here. Oh my god, if Venus moves out with their army into that tank Marine and the Marine stims on it, they could die. They are finally sending out a couple of Hellions to see that there's no 3rd bases. But they don't even know that there's no natural yet and just how behind they are. Terraventio is building turrets on 1 base. Why are you building turrets? You're on 1 base. Oh my. What is this? How are these players both so high in APM? Their openings are like kind of tightish in some ways. This is such a random game of StarCraft. All right, so a 2nd barracks is finally building for Venus. Venus is also building Silver League turrets behind the main base. Let's not build it on the edge to zone out things from getting into the base. Let's build it behind the main mineral line. This one actually isn't too bad because that does zone out that back edge. Raven is on the way for Terraventio. What am I looking at? Terraventio is literally just waiting for Venus to unsiege, move out, and lose to 1 big stim ambush. This is what I call a defensive all-in. So a defensive all-in is where you know you're so far behind you can't break them at their setup, right? But if you wait outside their base for them to move out and they don't realize what you're doing, if they attack into you, you can take a really good defensive fight out here, and then you can win the game. But it relies on your opponent moving out, taking a crappy fight, and basically losing the game right there. And that, to me, this is like the biggest gamble of all time. This is like I know I'm dead, but maybe my opponent will screw up. Venus is massing turrets and making +1 vehicle weapons. And I don't know why you'd mass turrets and sensor towers right now. This makes no sense. Venus is... No, Venus is massing missile turrets and sensor towers, and he's going to move out. Oh my god. No. The Marines are going to absolutely annihilate all of the siege tanks. Oh my god, he's going to kill all the Vikings. They tried to land. All the Vikings die before they can get a single shot off. The aliens come back and Terraventure gets gifted the one thing they needed. Keep cheesing, coward, says Venus. Learn to scout, you noob. Terraventure with a smiley face. This was the dumbest all-in of all time, but considering the situation, it made sense for Terraventure. That was the only way you'd ever get back in the game, is waiting for your cocky opponent to make a terrible move, and that's exactly what they did. You'll never win without it. LOL. Confirmed 12-year-old. Can't communicate, so he uses little pictures. Venus is angry that they didn't get a rise and they just got emotes from Terraventure. That's a new one, guys. If you use emotes, you're a 12-year-old who can't communicate, you should be embarrassed. Drop your favorite eggplant emojis in the chat and other emojis. Oh, so stupid. I love it.